The store's fluorescent lights buzzed faintly above Mother Martha as she pushed her small cart through the bargain aisles, her steps slow, steady, almost ritualistic. For a woman who had weathered life's hardest storms, grocery shopping was one of the few routines that still felt safe, familiar, predictable. But that morning, the predictable shattered. A sudden crackle burst from the intercom, then a voice, calm yet startlingly direct. "Mother Martha, please remain where you are." She froze mid-step. The cereal box in her hand slipped slightly as her pulse surged. No one ever called her by name here. She scanned the empty aisle, her breath shaky. Was someone watching her? Turning the corner, she saw him, the same scruffy man from yesterday. The one she had helped at the checkout without a second thought, but now he looked different. His coat cleaner, his posture firmer, his eyes sharper than she remembered. He wasn't acting lost or ashamed. If anything, he seemed to be waiting for her. Before she could make sense of it, a uniformed officer appeared beside her with quiet authority. "Ma'am," he said, "would you please come with me?" The words wrapped around her like cold air. His tone was gentle, respectful. But Martha felt the shift. This wasn't a scolding, and it wasn't a favor. Something bigger was unfolding, something she had stepped into without even knowing. Only yesterday she had stood in that same store, heart aching as she watched a trembling man insist he had no money for milk and bread. She had reached into her own thinning wallet, she always did, and paid for him before he could protest. It was the type of kindness people in her neighborhood took for granted from her. She was Mother Martha for a reason, but that night, things stopped making sense. When she unpacked her groceries, she found the milk and bread she thought she had bought for him. They were still in her bag, untouched, unopened. It meant he hadn't taken them, or worse, he never needed them in the first place. The thought kept her up all night. Had she been tricked? Used? Had her kindness been nothing more than a tool in someone else's scheme? She returned to the store at sunrise, trying to shake off her unease. But then came the second shock, the handwritten note hidden beneath a cereal box, bearing her name in crooked pen. "Martha, this is for you." Her hands shook as she dropped the box. Someone wasn't just watching her, someone knew her. By the time she reached checkout, her nerves were frayed, and when the officer escorted her outside, loading her groceries into her car as if she were fragile glass, she understood. Whatever was happening, she was no longer just a shopper in a grocery store. She was part of something much larger, and the man she thought she had helped, he wasn't homeless at all. He was walking toward her now, clean clothes, steady eyes, a small, knowing smile. The truth was about to unfold. The man stepped forward, no longer hunched or timid. His voice, once shaky, carried a calm confidence now. "Mrs. Martha, I owe you an explanation." Before she could speak, another man approached, this one in a sharply pressed uniform. He extended a hand. "I'm Detective Castellanos, and yesterday, you helped one of my undercover officers without even knowing." Martha blinked, stunned. "Undercover?" she repeated softly. The detective nodded. "For months, we've been investigating a series of thefts involving store employees stealing from customers during checkout, voiding items, switching receipts, pocketing refunds. The man you helped," he motioned to the now clean officer, "was posing as someone vulnerable. Your kindness allowed him to continue the operation without exposing his identity." Martha's breath caught. "You mean I didn't do something wrong?" Castellanos smiled warmly. "Mrs. Martha, you did something right. Because of you, the clerk responsible slipped up today. We finally caught him." The officer who had posed as homeless stepped closer, his eyes softening. "When you paid for my bread and milk, you didn't just help me eat for a day. You helped us bring justice to a dozen families who were being stolen from." Emotion welled in her chest, relief, pride, disbelief all at once. "But why call me out like that?" she asked quietly. "To thank you," the detective said. "And because the precinct wants to honor you, you showed compassion when others looked away." For a moment, Martha couldn't speak. All she had done was help a stranger, the same way she'd always lived her life. Yet somehow, that small act had unraveled an entire crime. Later that day at the station, she received a framed certificate, grocery gift cards for her and Patrick, and more gratitude than she'd ever expected. Her son squeezed her hand tightly, whispering, "You helped people. Mom, you really did." And as Martha walked out of the precinct, the sun warm on her face, she realized something profound. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can expose the biggest truths. Sometimes goodness changes the world, even when no one is watching.